Welcome to week 3. Once again, we're going to be looking at course delivery and another look at the importance of presence in the classroom. Presence is meaningful interaction. So let's look at that a little bit from different perspectives. Critics of online instruction often say that traditional instruction is better than online because online lacks that face-to-face interaction. But before I start to address that thought about tradition and online instruction, it's my belief that we need to use our energies in a different way. Instead of trying to make these two kinds of online and traditional delivery argue and fuss with each other, we should be taking our energy and creating better online classes and better traditional classes. Distance education is here to stay. There's no doubt about that. And some research that was recently done, in fact it was last year, by McLarth, said that frequent student and instructor interaction does lead to increased learning. Now, as I said back in week 1, that learning doesn't necessarily mean higher grades. It means more input into the learning that's taking place by the student. That interaction also led to students saying they were much more satisfied with the class and they felt like they really did learn more about the topic being covered. The instructor should encourage students to interact, and in this way, they're really meeting the needs of those students. Meeting the needs of the students, like I just said, has to begin even before the very first day of the class. The student needs to be welcomed, but more than that, they need to know that there's someone, the instructor, who cares about them even before they pass through the online portals for that class. And one of the ways we can do that is with a personalized email, not a mass email to everyone in the class. And I know you're thinking, wow, that can be time consuming, but really in the long run, it does pay off. And another way to address the needs of students with interaction is with personalized feedback. And let me talk a little bit more about that. Research that was done by Miller in 2012 showed that if the feedback was given on an assignment within 24 hours, then again, the student didn't feel the isolation. They had immediate feedback. They had immediate comments on their work. And this is not just saying, hey, you did a good job, Johnny, or this was a great paper, Sally. It really is detailed comments on specific parts of that paper. It's an invitation for the student to think deeper and further on that topic. Remember last week that I said your lecture should be the voice of many, not just your own opinions. Well, your feedback should be the same way, and the comments that you give students should be the same thing. It should be some of your opinion, some of the research that you've read, and then maybe additional websites for students to go to, additional readings. Those comments should be expanding the student's knowledge on that particular topic. Feedback does create a path to new and expanded learning. But if we look at other research that was done by this same researcher that I'm just now talking about, we learned that students usually give high marks in their post-course surveys to the instructor who gives that detailed instruction. The students say that they feel like they learn more and they feel like the instructor really cares about them. I have found that by giving that detailed feedback and always be available for my students, that the students tell me that they feel like I am approachable, that if they have a question or if their computer is suddenly not working, they're not afraid to ask questions. I'm there for them. We not only should look at student and instructor interaction, but another component to the interaction in an online class is student to student. In the student to student interaction, there's a couple of things that we do need to talk about. First of all, we want to encourage our students to be very interactive with each other. But that also requires that you or I, as the instructor, have to monitor what those students are saying to each other. I look for netiquette, and we talked a little bit about that in an earlier lecture, but we have to just watch and make sure the students are being professional in their comments to each other. If not, then that individual student needs to be pulled aside and maybe a quick phone call made to them or a quick email. The other thing I look for is to make sure that students are providing the correct information. Once in a while, a student thinks that they know a lot about a topic, but the information that they're putting out in the discussion or putting in the forum may not be just right on track. Again, I want to make sure the student feels comfortable providing information to others in the class, but I also want to make sure that information is correct. So again, that might be a time for an email to correct the misunderstanding, or maybe even a phone call. But I just want to make sure the student still feels comfortable that they can be a part and they can add their own experiences and their own knowledge. Now, I want to share a paragraph from Romanowski's work with you, and I'm going to read it directly from that paper because I want to make sure that I give it to you exactly right. He says, thinking proactively about online education can lead to improvements in learning environments of all kinds. So he's really talking about both traditional and online. Online teaching involves inherent limitations, but those limitations can force educators to re-examine fundamental issues of teaching and learning. Since interaction is such a clear idea of concern for online classes, it has to be a priority. By prioritizing and promoting meaningful interactions, we can develop practices that improve learning anywhere, not just online. This lecture has been a little shorter than some of the other ones I've given you, but we've already talked pretty much in depth about the importance of interaction and presence in the classroom. So I'm going to give you another series of lectures coming up soon. See you later.